Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Maseches CHULLIN Daf Ayin. We begin 12 lines from the top of the Amud. So we connect back to yesterday where we learned that once the firstborn kosher animal, the bachar, is mostly born, so it's 51% of the calf, of the goat, of the sheep comes out, that constitutes the Leda, the birth experience. And now the bachar acquires his kedusha, his sanctity, meant to be given to a kohen and offered as a korban. By Rabbi, it comes an interesting question. So until you get to the past, the 50% mark, it is not considered born and doesn't yet have kedusha. By Rabbi, it comes an interesting question. Rashi explains like this. Suppose, 51% of the animal came out. Now, within that 51%, you have a limb, let's say a foot, which in itself, only a small portion of that foot came out, 49%. Can you count that section of the foot, which is only a minority portion of that foot, count it into the 51% of the totality of this animal to get you that majority, to get you the roiv, so that it's considered born. Halchu be'ivarin achar haroiv oiloi halchu. Be'ivarin achar haroiv, with respect to ivarin, limbs, parts, do you apply the majority rule to it or not? Asks the Gemara, what exactly are we talking about? Hechidami. Can you present the scene, please? Ilaim, always speaking, kigoin shiyatza roiv, that you have a majority of the bigger animal, b'miut aver. But within that majority, you have an aver who only part of that aver, a small part of that aver, had already come out. Okay, so this newborn is mostly out. But in that most, you have a limb which is only partly out. And the question is, hi miut, this minority portion, the baroi, of the leg which came out, what do you connect it to? Who does he identify with? What do you attribute him to? Does he connect to the greater picture of the animal at large? In which case you say, well, with him we have 51%. Good to go. Or do you say, no, he connects to his own self, to the majority element of his own self, his own foot. Since most of him is inside, talking about the leg, even the part that came out is considered like it's still inside. And you don't have a majority. You don't have anything to push you past the 50% mark. Hi mute de baroi, this minority part of the leg which is outside, basar roiv de aver shadinulate, does he connect? Does he identify? Do we attribute him to the majority of the leg itself? In which case, he's still considered inside. You don't have him as part of your tally. Or perhaps you attribute him to the rest of the animal, the bigger picture. And you can count him in and consider him as part of the majority element of the ubar, and you have a birth. Pshita, of course, says the Gemara, of course. Who looks at the small picture? Of course, you always look at the big picture, right? Pshita de loishaf kinin. We don't ignore ruba de ubar, the majority factor of the ubar, of the greater animal here at large. Vazlinan, and prefer relating to the the leg, basar roiv aver, and follow, connect, identify with the majority portion of the leg itself. No, of course not. So now you have what you want. You have the piece of the leg that's outside that connects to the greater animal here. You have roiv. That's no question. Ella, rather, if there was a question, it must have been as follows. A more tricky type of scenario. What happened was, only 50% of the ubar was born. B'roiv aver, and in that 50%, you have a leg which is mostly out. Now, usually in the Torah we go with the halacha of roiv, right? So now you can say, perhaps, that since most of this leg is outside, even the rest of the leg is drawn, follows the roiv of that leg, and now you have more than you think. So you can count even that part of the leg that's inside. You count it as though it came out. It follows the majority of its leg, and now it pushed you past the 50% mark. The question is, that minority portion of the leg that's still inside, mao. What about l'mishdayi basarev aver? To connect it to the majority element of the foot itself. Consider it born. And now you're past the 50-yard line. Tashma, let's try to prove this from our Mishnah, where it says, Yatzaruba, if most of the newborn came out, Harezi you cover, it has Kedusha, if it dies, you have to bury it. My Rubai, now, what does majority mean? A simple majority? A clear majority? Ilay Rubai Mamish, a literal majority without any strings attached? Well, it's old news. We all know that Roiv is a deciding factor regarding halachas of the Torah. Ad hasht, until today, lo yashmina d'rubi kuli. We never heard that majority is like considered like the entire thing. It can't be speaking about such a simple case. It must be a more complex case, such as the case we're talking about here today. Elav, it must be apparently we're speaking about this very case. 50% of the animal came out, amongst which we have this leg which is mostly out, and the Mishnah seems to say that, yeah, we could count the small portion that's still inside as though it came out, and you passed the 50-yard line. No, says the Gemara. Perhaps the Mishnah is speaking about a complex case, but not this one. Perhaps the first case that we discussed. 51% came out, amongst which we have a small portion of a leg. The point of the Mishnah is to teach us that we look at the greater picture. We look at the big picture. We don't abandon, we don't ignore, we don't neglect the majority factor in terms of the entirety of the newborn, the behema. And focus on the leg itself. We don't do that. We look at the big picture, and whatever is out is out. And you can even count into your tally the small part of this leg that's outside, because despite the fact that most of this leg is inside, we ignore that. We attribute it to the rest of the ubar, which is outside. We look at the big picture, and now you have 51% and you're good. Okay, so in summation, Rav had a question regarding how to apply the majority rule to a limb that had exited with the rest of the ubar. We had two possible scenarios. In the case where it was 50%, case which was more than 50%, we thought we had arrived at the Mishnah to the more complex case. Concluded that the Mishnah perhaps is speaking about the more simple case, not an outright simple case like a real straight out majority, but we're speaking that it's roiv, amongst which we have a small piece of a leg, and we say, look, it connects to the rest of the animal, which is now in totality 51% outside, and you have roiv. Here come another couple of interesting, unlikely scenarios regarding what constitutes the act of birth. The Torah says that the bachar is peta rechem. Peta means it opened up, it traveled through the channel, the womb, the channel, the birth channel of the mother animal. Boy Rabba, according to some it's Rabba, have a shaila, karchay b'siv. Suppose the newborn didn't really come into contact with the walls of the channel, because he wrapped it with a sieve, with some sort of fiber that grows in the bottom of the palm tree. He wrapped it up to keep it warm, and that's how it came out. But talisimau, or he wrapped it in his garment. B'shul yasimau, suppose he wrapped it in the embroic sack. Well, that's normal, b'shul yasa. If he wrapped it in the shulya, that's the regular way of that birth happens. So it's not considered a chatzitza. It's not a interference. It's not a barrier. It's the same type. It's like min b'mina, two things of the same type. That's not considered. So there's no question there. Ella b'shulya acheres mao. Oh, what happened was he got a hold of another sack and he came in there and wrapped this one. So it's not his own sack. No. Is that considered a chatzitza, which gets in the way, in which case It's not a proper birth, not a proper petarechem to be considered bechor. The midwife, the farmer over there, she wrapped the newborn animal with her hands to keep it safe, keep it warm, and she took it out like that. Ma, what's the halacha? Rashi says, well, I mean, what are the factors here? Perhaps since it's urchayu, that's the way they do it. You know, you go in there, you help the animal give birth, so perhaps it's not considered eichat tzitzo. Maybe it is. Says the Gemara, hold it. How did the newborn animal come out? Did it come out head first? So that once the head comes out, patrase, did petarechem, it already came out. Patrase is lashon of, he passed through the channel. He opened up the... So once the head is out, it's considered a full birth, irrespective of what happens, you know, with the rest of the body behind him, wrapped or no wrapped. Oh, rather, he came on feet first. So his feet started coming out, and then she came in there and wrapped up the rest of the body, including the head. There was no direct contact between himself and the rechem as he was coming out. So that's the shayla. Next question. It gets more and more exotic. Bal'asu, so the unborn animal, as it's coming out, was swallowed by a chulda, by a weasel. But see us, and she took him out like that. Ma, what's the halacha? So he came out, but he didn't interact with the birth channel as he was coming out. He was, well, let's see us. If the chulda took him out, how fictish took him out? What do you mean? We already discussed all these types of non-contact births. I mean, it's just another variation. Ella, rather, no, bal asay, vatzi asay. But that was, it doesn't end there. The chulda swallowed up the unborn, took him out, and then decided, okay, she had enough for today. She reinserted the unborn into the mother animal, and then vikiyasa and spit him out in there. And then he was born properly. Shall we say, okay, it's petarechem, or perhaps it's too late. You got only one chance. Next case, hidbik shnei rochamim. This is really exotic. He took two wombs and he put them adjacent, side by side. And the newborn came out from one animal into the other animal. Mao, what happens now? After he's born out of the second animal. So, at the end of the day, he was born from a petarech, from a rechem. Shall we say, didei patar? The womb can only make patar on its own. It's only considered a proper laid on its own, not its friend's animal. The lav didei, but it's not its own animal, a patar. It doesn't work. Or the lav didei nam a patar. This womb can generate leda on the other one's animal as well. Take it, we leave it unresolved. Boy Ravach. Here comes another shayla. Niftechu. Let's say they expanded, the walls of the womb expanded. Let's say the walls of the channel expand to the point that the newborn doesn't, he's not interacting, he's not coming into contact with the walls, he just flies right through. Mao, avir rechem magdish? Shall we say the airspace is what gives it the kedusha, and you have no ikon, that's enough in this case. Or negias, it's the actual contact, sliding through the walls of the rechem, that's mekacha volek. In this case, you don't have it. Next question. Boy mabar havashi ne'ekru kois lebes harechem mao. Suppose the womb was uprooted, it's dislocated. Mao, what's the halacha there? Well, if it's ne'ekru, it's totally gone. Or listen, they're not there. Okay, if it's out, it's out. So what's your shayla? I mean, you have nothing. You have no rechem. You don't even have the airspace of the. Ella, rather, we're speaking ne'ekru, that the organ was dislocated. But totally b'tzavori. But while the animal was still inside, he wrapped it around the neck of the animal, so the animal sort of came out with it. Mai, is that considered peta rechem? B'mkoyman mekachi, shall we say that the rechem only does its thing, only generates the kedusha when it's in its proper location, which it wasn't in this case. If it's out of place, it can't. Or can you say it can have its effect even when it's out of place, and it's considered peta rechem? Next question. Rav Yirmiyah, he asked the question of Zera. Suppose the kois lebeis harechem, when nigmamu, they got thinned out due to illness or whatever, so they're there but not properly intact. They're just thinned out, and what happens now? Amar Lacy says, of course, it's a non-starter. Konagas, you've now gotten involved, bebaya, with a question, the boilan, that we already had. The boy Rab Zera. Some say, boy minei Rab Zera Rabbeasi. Back to the womb of the mother animal. Oymed miruba ala parat. Suppose part of the womb area is missing, and the remaining part, the oymed, the standing part, is more than the missing part. So part of it is gone, part of it is there. V'yotze derech parats. And the newborn traveled through the open area, not through the standing area. Or let's say parat meruba ala oymed. The missing part is more than the remaining part. V'yotze derech oymed. And the animal traveled to the remaining walls. What's the status of this newborn? Does he have kedusha b'chor or not? So in the first case, the question seems to be that since it's mostly there, mostly intact, perhaps it's considered like petarechem, despite the fact that he went through the hole. In the second case, he traveled through the actual channel, but it was only a small part of it left. Most of it was gone. Perhaps it's considered like we disregarded. So that's his question. Now, what pertains to us is like this. This whole question, I only had this whole question was only pertaining to a case where there's some remnant. Ella parutz meruba la'omed is more breached than standing, which means to say, there's some remaining material. This is what to talk about. Aval nigmamu, but in your case where it's all thinned out, there's no question. There's nothing really intact. It's all thinned out, and that's not the way that's not a proper rechem. And of course, it's not going to be a proper leda, a proper petarechem, and there will be no kedusha. Okay, continues the Mishnah on the base. We already know from the previous Mishnah, previous sugya, that if one discovers a live or lifeless animal within a mother animal after shechita, that ubar is permissible. It's perfectly edible because the shechita of the mother, who's a kosher animal, exempts the unborn. Listen to this case. Suppose there was no shechita yet, okay? The mother animal was carrying an ubar, and he died while still inside the mother animal. Behema shemeis ubra, her ubar died inside her innards. So the question is there a tumah? Is it considered like a separate entity? Is it like a carcass which is going to generate tumah for those who come into contact or carry it? Or shall we say, no, it's enveloped within the mother, the greater mother entity. And just like when you shech the mother, it exempts, it covers the unborn, makes it edible, mutter b'achil. Likewise, the mother animal who's enveloping this ubar, it's not considered part of the mother entity. So even though it's lifeless, it's not considered a nevela. It's like part of the mother's flesh. The shepherd inserts his hand and comes into contact with the lifeless ubar. Whether it's a kosher animal or non-kosher animal, non-kosher, kosher, Torah is okay. Because that ubar, which hasn't left the mother entity, does not generate its own tumah. Rabbi Yisek Lili, I agree on one account. Depends what family the behema belongs to. What type? Bitmei, if it's a non-kosher behema, then the ubar is tameh. Uber tahir, if it's a kosher animal, yeah, I agree it's tahir. My time in Tanakama, what's the reason why Tanakama says every lifeless ubar is tahir? Amar Rab Chizda, it's based on logic. Look, imoy ila imoy la'atira ba'achila. If the shechita on the mother exempts the uber. Right? Whether it's alive or dead, it's part of the mother's flesh and blood, and you can eat it. Wouldn't you agree that certainly the mother animal can protect, can shield, can spare the uber from tumah, to make a Torah from becoming an avela? It's part and parcel of the mother entity. The mother is alive and well, she's tahor. Likewise, her offspring. Okay, ashkecha and behema tahira. So this kal v'chomer is based on a premise that the shechit of the mother can benefit the uber. Well, that only applies to a kosher animal. Okay, so based on that, likewise, if it's lifeless, it's okay. But behema tmei minola. But by behema, which is not kosher, which doesn't have this idea of ben pekua, the shechit of the mother, permits the uber for consumption. There's no heter by behema tmei. So how do we know that our halacha of our mishnah, i.e., shielding the uber from tumah, will apply to behema tmei? Behema tmei minola. Amakra, the pasuk connects the two, links the two together without differentiation. So the pasuk reads like this: So you split the pasuk into two. The pasuk which says that an avela is tamei starts with chiyamas mina behema. That's actually zu behema tamei, a non-kosher animal. Pasuk continues: Asher lechem la'achla. Of course, that's a zu behema tamei, a kosher animal. And the pasuk compares the halacha of avela between Torah and Tamei. Iskish. We now have a linkage, a connection. Behema Tmeya to Behema Torah. We compare. Ma Behema Torah, just like Behema Torah. Ubra Torah, the offspring is Torah. Based on the Kal V'chomer, as mentioned before. Av Behema Tmeya, likewise Behema Tmeya as well. Ubra Torah, even if the Uber is lifeless inside the live mother animal, it's Torah. Okay? Hence, according to Tanakama, it doesn't matter whether it's of this type, of that type. Even a lifeless Uber inside a mother animal who's still alive is Torah. Rabbi Saglilu my time. Oh, now Rabbi Saglilu differentiates. He says, well, by Behema Tmeya, you don't have this coverage. Why? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Says Rabbi Yitzchak, I'll take you to a pasuk. The Amakra. The pasuk says, V'chal hoylech al kapav. V'chal achaya hoyleches al arba tmeimim lochem. So the pasuk makes it, the Gemara makes a drush that the pasuk is referring to an animal within an animal, and if it's not kosher, it will have tumas nevela if it dies. So kapav, Rashi says, means she'ein parsois of sedukos. It has like a joint, palm, a joint, not palm, I mean foot, right? Which means to say it's not split. Okay, it's a single kapayim. Which means a non-kosher animal. Inside. It's found inside its mother animal, who's also a chaya ha'ilechas al arba, who walks on 4, which means 4, and not 8. If it was split, it would be 8, right? Each leg is like 2. It's only 4. So in this case, if it's an avela, it's tamei. So even the uber is tamei if it's an avela. Malcha kapayim b'chayat mesilach. A malcha kapayim, which is a non-kosher breed, who's still inside the chaya, who's a non-kosher breed, Tmei Silach. The Torah applies tumah to it, as per that pasuk, which is speaking about an avela. So here we go. A lifeless uber of a non-kosher variety is tamei. Says the Gemara. Now, if it depends on what his feet look like, whether they're split or not, if that's the case, kolot b'mei para, l'tamei. If I have a kolot inside the para, so the mother animal is kosher, it's a para, a cow. But the uber turns out to be a kolot with merged, joined hooves. That's hoylech al kapav. Should be tamei if he's lifeless, even in the innards of his mother. So even though it's a kosher variety, but if it depends on what his hooves look like, he should be tamei. And basically, the Mishnah doesn't seem to say that. He seems to say that if it's a behema Torah, you're okay. Right? If that's the case, if that's the determining factor, kolot b'mei para, an animal, an unborn, who doesn't have split hooves, who's in the womb of a kosher mother animal, tamei. If he dies, he should become tamei. The malcha kapayim b'chayu. He's malchik kapayim inside a chaya, right? Malchik kapayim b'chayu. Says the Gemara. No, it doesn't really fit the description of the pasuk in terms of what has tumah. Mahalchik kapayim, malchik arba. Pasuk says it's mahalchik kapayim. Inside a chaya only has 4, but the parah has 8 because her feet are split, right? Her hooves are split. In this case, you have malchik arba. True, the unborn is a 4-legged because he's not split, but his mother is an 8-legged. Malchik shmeinu. So it's different. Okay, fine. What about another case? Para b'mei gomel loite tame. Let's go the other way. If you have a camel, inside which you discover an unborn creature looking like a para. Right? The para is sort of an 8-legged, right? It shouldn't become tummy. Why? It doesn't fit the criteria of the pasuk. The mahalchi shmoin, the mahalchi arbahu. It's 8 inside 4. And the pasuk seems to say only 4 and 4 is tummy. So as the Gemara, the pasuk says hoylech vikol hoylech al kapav. The extra vikol covers our case. The rabbi's para make gomel covers our case of the para inside the gomel to make a tummy. Okay, what about kolot make kluta the tummy? You have an animal of the cow family. A kluta happens to be that her hooves are not split. So happens, anomaly, right? And likewise, her unborn presents the same way. He's also a kolot. Now we know they're both kosher. They're according to the Shittas Chachamim, it's kosher. It's a kosher variety. But since it's 4 and 4, 4-legged inside another 4-legged, that corresponds with the description of the pasuk. And now you have tumah. Call it mekluta litami. And by the way, when we say tumah, it means to say if the unborn is found lifeless, right? Okay. The malchi arba, it's 4 inside 4. Answers the Gemara, yeah, you're right. But for this specific case, we can go back to that kal v'chomer of Rav Chisda, which we studied right at the beginning of our section here. That by a fully kosher presentation, a fully kosher package, you can apply simple logic. A cow inside a cow. Well, if the shechita of the mother animal can exempt the unborn and permit it for consumption, certainly regarding tumah, it can shield it. So that addresses this case. I have one more case, one more question to ask you about. According to you, the condition is 4 inside 4. What about a chazir, a swine, who has 8, right? Split hooves. We make chazirta inside a mother chazir, so it's 8 and 8. Lo letame, there should be no tumah in this case. Why? It doesn't really conform to our description. Here it's 8 inside 8. The malchi shmoina, it's an 8-legged. Malchi shmoina inside an 8-legged hoof. So now we're stuck. If Rabbi Yitzchak Lili's distinction, Rabbi Yitzchak Lili's halach, that if it's a lifeless uber inside a behemoth tmeya, it's tamei, is based on, in fact, this pasuk, it doesn't really correspond to all the cases. Ella, rather, we're going to shift gears to a different pasuk to prove this very same point. Ella amar Nachbar Yitzchak mihach, it's based on the following pasuk. Nefesh ki siga b'chol tamei, ay b'nivlas chayet tmeya. Person comes into contact with impurities, a dead animal, a dead behemoth. So a carcass of a unkosher chaya, unkosher behemoth, a benivlas sheretz tummy. Okay, so it becomes tummy, etc. Now, here comes an obvious question. Why are we specifying that the nevela happens to be a dead, non-kosher animal? Is that the only nevela? That's metame. V'chi nivlas behemoth tmeya metame. Only a nevela of behemoth tmeya generates tumah. Uba tahira, and a carcass of a kosher animal, loy metame, doesn't generate tumah. Of course it does. We have another pasuk which says that even a kosher animal, pasuk Yud Aleph pasuk lametes, it says v'chi yamas mana behema. An edible animal, kosher animal, if it dies, is an nevela, it's tamei. Ella, rather, the pasuk is making a point regarding the uber, the lifeless, unborn animal. And over there we have a differentiation, a distinction between if it's a Tmeya or Tahir. Ella, Eza, rather, which Nevela has this distinctive differentiation between Torah and Tameh. Zeuber, that's a lifeless unborn. Shebet Tmeya, Tameh. That if it's of the Tameh variety, it's Tameh. Ubetahira. So if it's inside a Tmeya, it's Tameh. Ubetahira. If it's inside a Tahar animal, then it's Tahar. Very clear distinction between the two classes of animals. Ask the Gemara, okay, if it's so clear and straightforward, so why do we need that first pasuk? Once we have this second pasuk as our clear source for this distinction between Tahar and Tameh, so that begs the question, Rabbi Yitzchak Lamali, why do we need that first pasuk of Rabbi Yitzchak? Answers the Gemara. You know why? Ilav the Rabbi Yitzchak. If not for Rabbi Yitzchak's pasuk, which gives us that opening, it makes that declaration, that statement, to teach us that, hey, it's not so simple. Not every unborn is shielded from tumah. It depends. If it's a behema tmeya, then there is tumah there, right? So if not for that pasuk, that gives us sort of the general outline. Don't connect to Tahira Tmeya. Don't make that hekesh of the Tanakam. Tanakam have a clear linkage between the two. Don't differentiate between Behema Tmeya, Behema Tahira. Whatever applies there, applies there. The unborn by the Tahira is Tahir, likewise by Tmeya. But comes the pasuk of Rabbi Yitzchak and says, no, you can't connect the two things. They run different systems. So that's a general outline. And based on that, we can go take it further to the next pasuk just mentioned here, which is coming to address another issue of the chazer and the chazir, right? The chazer b'mei chazirta, which was left as an open question, right? We got stuck on that. So this pasuk sort of shores it up and explains to us that in fact all types of non-kosher animals run this track. So that's why we need both psukim. It's a 1-2 punch. Ilav the Rabbi Yitzchak, not for the first pasuk of Rabbi Yitzchak, which gives us the general concept that a behemah tmei is different. However, I would say, if only from the second pasuk. Kulei lekad Rabbi do also. It's coming to teach us something else entirely. Rabbi's halach, which we'll see tomorrow by Hashem. And there's no hint or inkling regarding our discussion of the unborn, the status of the lifeless unborn. So now that we have Rabbi Yitzchak who says, well, a tummy within a tummy can have tumah. But we got stuck because we didn't really address all the chazir and the chazirta. Comes the second pasuk, Nefesh Hitiga, which says, guess what? If it's a tummy variety, it has tumah all throughout and covers all situations of unborns, lifeless unborns within a behemah tmeya. Okay, so in a nutshell, you have the ubar, which is lifeless inside the mother animal. What is the status? According to Tanakama, it's always going to be tar. According to Bisaglili, depends what family belongs to. Behemah Torah, yes. Behemah tmeya, not. It's based on the psuk. In the Amud Aleph, we discussed Kedushas HaBachor, which is activated upon reaching the 51% mark, majority of Leda. We had a shadow regarding the leg that was partially born. Does it connect to the greater entity or not? We had a shadow regarding all types of chatzitza issues and missing rechems in terms of whether or not there's Kedushas Bachor. All the best to you and Hatzlacha.